Right, good evening, folks. Welcome to VP4TV. I knew nothing about this. This has obviously been arranged in a very short while. LS3 messaged me. I was actually asleep in front of the computer. And I had no stream set up, so I had to take the time to get that done. It's a round 3 match in the 2025 Virtual Cowboy World Championships. LS3 representing the United Kingdom, Chicu representing Chile from South America. And they've just got underway at the top of the hour. It's now, what is it? It was about 10 minutes past 8 at night here. And well, we've already had at least one visit from LS3 and one previously also from Chicu, because he's now on a run of 24. Just while they're getting started, if we look at the bracket, we can see that we've got no round 3 match up top. So we've got Jose still looking to arrange his match with Bankster. They've still got a few days left to get that done, and Coldest Pillow and Tommy have still to get organised in that part of the draw. Otherwise, LS3 and Chiku's going to have a wait until get the next match. And
where's the cue ball going?
That's the wrong button. Up above that, in fact, I need to change my mouse. We've got Mr. Fox and Miskin still to arrange, and Larry and MC Clarkey still to get done as well. Now, let me just try something else while I'm at it. That's not the right thing either. This is what I hate, being unprepared for a live stream. Hang on a minute. Right, so Chico is certainly in a bit of a hurry, having a slash at that. I think it's the same rules for this, that LS3 really needs to get down to those carams before Chiku does, because I think he should be far too strong in that sense, but he may well scratch here.
Where's the cue ball going?
Only 2 likes. I've got to keep begging. I think the other day I begged and it was only 4. But I'm going to unplug. I'm going to have to tab out again so I can unplug my mouse, because VP4's bugged when you disconnect your mouse, or at least it always has been for me. Hold on a minute. I don't like that mouse for when I'm live streaming. It's too sensitive. Right. There we go. Anyway, welcome everybody. I had no idea this was on. Although having checked the schedule about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, there was nothing different on the schedule then. So this has sort of happened in the spur of the moment, I think. I don't know. Anyway, LS3's got to make up the deficit. And straight away, she's missed the carom. Run ends on 9. High run for the tournament is still 91. And I stuck my neck on the block saying that that high run that Interchange Jet's got wouldn't last 24 hours, because we had the Cobra Monster match, which that high run should have gone. I think Cobra got to, what, 74 or something, and then broke down. So the high run still stands. I'll tell you what, I'll be disappointed if that still stands by the end of the tournament. Big news in Cardiff. Well, it hasn't quite reached here because I've not heard it. Mind you, I haven't had the news on at all, if it was anything important. So, Chicu, 20 in front. And this is a carom. Of course, I keep forgetting, I mean, Chiku's not used to the carom side of things on this table. This is where he's still vulnerable, very vulnerable, if you're a half-decent player. But I still think LS3 needs to get to these caroms first. They've closed a big hotel here all of a sudden, and someone's found out someone's found out it's to do with migrants. What, you trying to say that the hotel was full of migrants and nobody knew, or the hotel was has been emptied to be full of migrants? I don't know. Well, that's the other good thing about Scotland, is that we're too far across the channel for them to sail over to us. They're always going to sail across at the shortest point, aren't they? So LS3's trying to build up a little score here. The only thing that arrived in Fife would be would have been a stray Viking many, many moons ago. But not many migrants will get that far up the North Sea. Well, no sooner do I look at the chat and I look back at the screen and LS3's not at the table. My nan has been bouncing all day. What respect does that mean? I mean, what am I meant to take by that meaning? But has she been in a bouncy castle all afternoon and bouncing, or I mean, you've got to give us a bit more detail. Bouncing what? Bouncing mad? Bouncing with joy? But bouncing's a Welsh slang. Never heard of that. LS3 back in. Still looking to clear that deficit. We have one other match that's appeared on the schedule, I think, since the last stream that we did. And apart from this one, obviously, the other one is Jose and Bankster has been arranged. Why did I not notice that? Anyway, it's set for Monday, this Monday coming, which I think is my last day before I go back to work on Tuesday. At 5 PM that starts. I'll be up bright and early tomorrow morning because I should have a good stream for the golf so I can see them teeing off at Portrush. Sit and watch that. Tommy hasn't responded. Well, all you have to worry about is that you're, I mean, as you know, I think, you know, he's never here any time anyway, so I think I may well end up forfeiting if he hasn't even responded to you. And he could be away on vacation as well, as many people do this time of year, so He might not even be near a laptop or a desktop or anything like that. Mind you, he should still have access to his emails on his phone, so there's still no excuse. If you've got the emails forwarded in your VP4 account, if you get them forwarded to an email, then you'll get notified. Well, as long as you sent the proposal, you'll get advanced. That's all you need to worry about. The rest is up to him. Well, LS3, I think, had at least 3 or 4 goes since I joined to try and get back on par. She's failed again, so Chicu's back at the table, looking to get to that 90 carom phase. But he seems to really want to let this cue ball run very, very loose. I think he's working along the basis that the sooner we get this over with, the better. I mean, I'm all for getting on with it when you're playing cowboy, but I thought he'd be a wee bit more cautious most of the time. I think Chicu's decided that this table's far too slow for him, but at the same time, he's overcompensating with his weight of shot. He's hammering them to get the ball rolling. Well, now he's on 89. Little carom. Try and keep these running closer together, but he may have lined up a pot here, I think, on that one ball. He's got to be careful here. Yeah, he's got to find another line to get there, and it's a big target to go off the rail and run into them. Maybe even get a 2-pointer here. So this is where LS3 has failed in this first rack. With all the opportunities that she's had, she really should have been a lot closer than this, and has allowed Chicu just to comfortably get to the caroms. Yeah, the Larry Clarkey match hasn't been sorted yet. So Chicu's run is 27, including these caroms. And I think it'll just be a matter of time before he gets over the line in this first rack, unless LS3 can sort of get focused. But she knows that when she comes to the table, she has to put a score to stay in this first rack. This isn't quite as clear cut now, because again, to get the carom, you've got to let the other object ball run loose. It's not perfect, but he's still at the table. Now again, the danger here is if you're stunning to get that cue ball to the 3, you can easily push it in the pocket, and you can easily again send a 1 around the table into a pocket somewhere. It's a risk that you take. So 98 on the board, 32 is a visit. And
Where's the cue ball going?
That's the danger, but the cue ball stays alive. So Chicu only 3 away. Well, 2 away from the 100 and then the final scratch, but LS3 needs a barrel load here to have any chance. That 3 ball needs to come back into play, and it's running a reasonable line. Again, what you'd want to do here is maybe, let's have a look at what line she's got here. Well, if you're going to overcut this or cut it, you've got to get in a line to leave that carom. That's pretty good. That's not good, because that's now killed the 1 ball. So what you're trying to do here with the angle that she's got is you can pot the 5, but you don't want to be trying to hit the 1 ball from this side. The problem is, of course, the 1 ball being off its spot, you've got to try and find a way where one of these object balls is somewhere down here to get to that one, which would be safer to try and move it, or you end up
Where's
doing
the
that.
cue ball going?
So that was a disaster in all forms, but it comes about from killing the 1 ball. The 1 ball sitting there is absolutely no good unless you can get in a position where it's safe to move it from that position there, which Chicu has just done. That should give him a fairly simple outshot here, I think. Let's have a look. Yeah, out every day of the week. Oh, he's had a slam at it again. And that's pretty poor effort there to get out. It was not difficult. Just a nice gentle stunt, and that would have gone in. Not hammering it like a sledgehammer. And LS3's got another chance. But she needs to get wise as well. And many times I say this, you can still try and prolong your existence in this first rack if you keep things safe. If you don't think a carom or a decent pot is on, then at least make sure that you're keeping the 1 ball safe. Because you never know. But if you're going to keep trying to stay at the table, it's usually destined to failure. Well, she can pot that 5 up top. But you've got to get far enough through or hold it down this end to leave that line from the 1 to 5 or 5 to 3. Well, the 3 coming back into the middle of the table is pretty good because you've got the 5 adjacent, so you're guaranteed a carom after this. You just pot the 5. Again, to give yourself a choice of 2, you could go below the 1, unless you're stunning across to try and miss the 3. I don't know what line she's got in this 5. Let's have a look. Now, I see it wants to go the other way, so she's holding it behind the 5 and held it right. But she's now on 85. Got to be careful that this 5 ball isn't going into the pocket. Well, still short of 90. Well, that single 1 that she's about to try and get is dangerous because it has to be done with the carom. And I think the safest route is, well, even it's hazardous because you're trying to avoid potting that 3 ball. You're trying to make sure you don't pot it when you're finding the line. And she's going up and down. This looks not bad. It's got there. But it's, everything is fraught with danger now, because now you've got the 3-ball isolated. That 5-ball should be going 2 rails to try and get out there. And now it's come across too far. Because what you're trying to do is leave something so you can get at that 3. And I think the force follows on here. The 1 can go behind the 5. And that's not bad now that the 5-ball's been hit half ball, because it's brought that into play. 1 ball could have been done with coming down the table a bit more. And really, you want to get in to that point in the 3-ball. You don't want to be hitting this and pushing it further to the pocket, because you're just killing your chances here. Got to get this right. And that's better. Okay, the table's not improved really, but at least it kept the 3-ball away from the pocket. Now it's a risky shot. It's risky either way. You're going to be possibly leaving a 3-5 carom if you can make this 1. And she's missed it. Now the problem with that is going all out. You're leaving the 1 ball wide open, and she's got a lucky roll. Well, they all come in handy. That one's come at the right time because she's preserved her points. The run was 35. And that's got her to 93. Now, LS3 has just got to figure that the only way for survival here is stopping that 1 ball from going in or going on over to a position where the outshot is easy. And this looks better. This is a very strong chance now. Well, it's an easy carom, and it's got to be a gentle one, but you don't want to finish right behind the 5 because you want to leave the 5-3 to follow. So it's just a little feather touch, but don't finish behind the 5. That won't do. They've lined up. Now, the problem is she's gathered 4 caroms here, so you don't want to give them up. But at the same time, you don't want to leave an easy outshot in that 1 ball. That middle pocket's a bit in the way here, I think, if you're trying to go 2 rails, maybe with a bit of right English to try and kick the back of the 1. I don't know. Yeah, she's going to try and do maybe direct to it or 2 rails. Now that she's missed it, she needs to hope she gets lucky again, and I think she is. Now, I don't know whether she's been trying these shots, but at the end of the day, she's getting away with it so far. I think that was a full-out attempt to get to the 1 ball, but ended up getting hooked behind the 5. Chicu gets to 99, so he's still not over the line. And LS3 is very much back in this. Big time. Aye, well, he was. He was. And then he wasn't. Oh, that would have been better if it had been more full in the face, that 3 ball. So now, 1 behind. One ball's actually quite a big target if you're going either side of it to try and hit it, because you can get to the rail and that might be there. It might be. Oh, not quite. So the obvious one would be if you're trying to stun direct to that 3, you could nudge it in. And Chicu didn't get there. LS3 now has an easy enough carom. We'll take her to 99. They'll be neck and neck. This first rack's already 35 minutes old, so it's going a wee bit longer than the average. And of course, making the carom, she's actually cut the one into the, or banked the one into the side pocket, and then handed it all on a plate to Chicu if he wants it. Now, is that one ball in the kitchen? Well, I think it is. It's sort of borderline by the look of it, but it's dodgy to call it either way. I think that's why he didn't play it. Well, this isn't easy. This is all to do about how much of the one ball you take. It's nothing to do with English, really. It's just how much of the one ball you want to judge. How thick you hit it or how thin you hit it to make the pocket. And again, Chicu not making a very good effort at it. Well, the shot, as far as I'm concerned, is kicking the back of the one gently, because then you're setting up the other one that you need to get to 100 if you're keeping that one ball there or thereabouts near the 3. So that's the shot. Just off that back rail into the back of the one, and she's missed it. And again, that was not a difficult shot, but okay, if you don't play them very often, then you sometimes struggle to see, again, how much of that 5 ball you had to hit. But this should be out. But again, Chicu's nowhere near it. I mean, he's at least 2 really solid outshots, and he's been miles away from them. I don't know what Stubbs typing. It's just, I don't generally read it. Usually it's crap. Well, LS3 gets to 99. You're still going to need a good one. The force follow may well be on. That one ball sitting perfect. I wouldn't want to move that. I'd be wanting to get the 3 to the, or the 5 to the 3. And I think she needs to just adjust that a fraction a bit. Right, she's too straight. Yeah, but she's caught it though. It looked too straight. She just caught the edge. And this for the first rack, got to get out with this. I mean, this is, again, nowhere near difficult, this one ball. Just got to get just enough bottom in the cue ball to stun it in, and it should stun in clean. Don't want to get too much of it though, you'll go to the rail. Yeah, got it in, and that comes about from what me and Tam call faffing, because Chiku certainly got a fair dose of the faffing going on while he was in those caroms, and having 2 or 3 attempts to get out and not getting out, where they weren't difficult outshots, is how he ended up losing that first rack. Having got to the caroms a fair bit before LS3 did. So he's definitely there for the taking, no doubt about that. So after 39 minutes, the first rack is on the board, and that's Popman come into the room. Thunder Bluster. Well, again, asking for
Where's
trouble.
the cue ball going?
You know, whenever you start banging and running the cue ball loose, that's going to happen. Now, got to produce a pot. Table's not sitting great for that. Yeah. So short, sharp visits we've got. It's no often you see Crosty online at this time of night. Well, no, in fact, it's way too early for him. Well, we've got the open table, so it's going to be, by the looks of it, another stun to get to the 3 ball here off the 5. You see how that come off the top side of the 3 as we look at it, nearly scratched again. 5 ball ended up going in, which is dicing with death here, LS3. She's getting into risky bad habits there, stuff that many of us do of a morning, and that's what you don't want to do. You want to be a lot more controlled if you can. And anytime you play something with power in this game is only as a sort of last-ditch desperate measure. You really do need to look at avoiding using big stun shots, and especially to make the caroms, because you hit that ball wrong and that the connection you make with that object ball, the half ball, the sucker scratch is always on. If you're going from the 5 ball to the 3 or from the 5 ball down to the 1, that's a common scratch in Cowboy. So you want to avoid that like the plague, or at least when you're on that type of shot, be fully aware of the consequences of hitting it, and hitting it too hard and hitting it wrong side. You hit it half ball, you'll scratch every day of the week. And meanwhile, this is looking as if it's taking up the same sort of pattern as what we saw in that first rack. It's tit for tat, short, sharp bursts, no substantial contribution. And I think LS3 might not be that bothered now about really getting to the caroms first, because, you know, Chicu had a good shot at it first rack and couldn't get anywhere near the job done. How good is who at Cowboy? Did I miss who we're talking about? Crosty, he's a... he takes too many risks, and especially with a partner, he takes too many risks. So Chicu on a run of 20. Slender lead. Getting above the 1 to play the 1-3. Now again, if I'm playing this, I'm wanting to get to the back of the 3. And then you've got another chance of doing that. The problem is now he might be a bit too straight in this 1. Yeah, far too straight. That 3 ball comes across, everything's good. Stubbs finally left the room. So at the moment it's in reasonable shape, this table. Got a 3-5 sitting there waiting. Not a 3-5, a 3-1. That needs to come out a bit. Welcome to Blind Hog. This might be ugly. I think it is. Oops, wrong button. Yeah, locked out, completely locked out for the pot. I mean, there is an attempt to go. Did the cut go? Well, maybe the cut didn't go, but anyway, it's caught the knuckle. The visit ends in 35, and the lead is still only 21, so no alarm bells ringing at the moment for LS3.
Where's the cue ball going?
Cue ball stays in the table. And again, not the best of shape for the follow-up carom. Cue ball's going to be running a couple of rails at least. Try and come around and hit that 5, I would assume. Oh no, she's trying to play the draw. See, to me, it's far better to look at the natural line that you can come off that object ball to find the line off the rail or 2 rails to get to the 5.
Where's the cue ball going?
And LS3 immediately back in. Yeah, we've got that match Friday. As you should be able to see. We've got Cobra, Tornado Tam. We've got the Jose Bankster match on Monday evening or Monday late afternoon. Meanwhile, cue ball's gone again from LS3. Luckily, it was only a score of 2 on the board, and Chicu's back at the table with his lead. Now, Chicu with ball in hand. Now, that 1 ball is on its spot, so that 1 ball is live and legal, although he doesn't know that, I don't think. He could easily pot the 1, play, well, he's thinking about it. I'm not quite sure whether he is 100% certain. Can I shoot that 1? I wonder if LS3 is going to tell him, because I wonder if she knows. No, she doesn't. The 1 ball's on its spot, so the 1 ball is live. And you can either pot it, you can play a carom from it onto the 5 or the 3. That's assuming it was on its spot. I mean, I wasn't 100% certain it was, but I'm just guessing it was. If it had been a margin off its spot or been nudged at any point, then it could well have been in the kitchen, in which case then it would have been a foul. LS3 saying about the two of them don't know the rules. Well, again, if you don't play the damn game at all any time during the year, and then you're in that situation, then no, you won't really know the rules. And that's almost a disaster there from Chicu. Cue ball just stays up. So these are races to 3 racks, and they can go 2.5 hours, these matches, if there's more than 3 racks played. I mean, that first rack was 35 minutes and counting. With 2 decent players, you really should be getting the job done within half an hour or so in these racks. But that, of course, doesn't take into consideration how often you get some points and then promptly lose them by scratching or doing something daft. And cue ball's gone again. There goes the 11 points, and here comes LS3 with another chance. So this is exactly like the first rack. Exactly it. Chicu just kept being in the lead because LS3 couldn't score enough to get back into it. And then Chicu got to 90 and eventually LS3 caught him up. And then Chicu had 3 good goes at getting out and couldn't get out and get his pocket picked at the finish line for that first rack. So there's nothing really in it between them in this second one. LS3's really got to knuckle down and focus here because there's points available. There's a lot more available if you go about it a much better way, a bit more controlled. That's now made life very difficult. Got to dig out a pot from distance. But, these 2 balls are sitting good enough. So really all you want to do is roll this in dead weight and stay up top if you can, because then you've got an opportunity to get some sort of carom. If you start banging this and come back up the table, you're making your life a lot more difficult. And again, you just begin to wonder why people don't think about what they're doing. I mean, why did you have to bang that as hard? If you just roll it in dead weight, you'll at least have some sort of sight of a carom from up the top end of the table. So LS3 or was I wrong there? Was Sean a pot or a carom? Maybe I was, because it's too late for me doing this. I hadn't planned to do it, so my brain's already gone to bed. That says a lot when I was actually sleeping in front of the PC when LS3 sent me a PM to tell me this was going ahead. I was sort of winding my way down to go to bed. Anyway, Chicu 12 the lead and counting. But again, Chicu's not made anything worth mentioning in terms of contributions here. Alien environment for him. Cable's far too slow. Rails don't react the way he's used to them reacting. easy force follow to come. Now this is where you get the one on its spot, come across the bottom end of the 5 ball, or hold the cue ball there to play the 1 to the 5 from the top side. LS3's potting a 3 to get it in its spot, but I don't, again, you know, that's just you're making more hard work for yourself. If you just pot the 1 and you know the 1's spotting next to the 5, you've got an easy carom. Now she's having to do stuff to get to the carom. I don't think we're quite planning ahead here properly, LS3, because really you should have potted a 1 or at least get down without hitting any of those 2 balls just to leave the carom set as it was. Because although it might not look like it and it might look easy, you've got to make your life easier to keep this run going. But surprisingly, LS3 has got herself in front, 10 in front and counting. Not threatening to be a winning visit yet. And now it's about concentration or not breaking the concentration, because you're getting to that dangerous part in the rack where players have been known to, many a player has been known to just carry on scoring and totally forget about the score. LS3 on a run of 30, score is at 70. So needs that other 20 points to get into this carom phase before Chicu this time round. So this will put the table back into the conventional setting, everything on its spot. Now, this is where you don't want to pot the 5 ball. You want to play the force follow carom, but you want to keep the 5 ball. Well, she's going to play the draw, but you'd rather not pot the 5. You'd rather keep it in play so that you could use it. So again, LS3 was frightened of the force follow there, and the force follow was very easy for a regular cowboy player. Very easy. You know, you don't really play the draw in that shot. The force follow was lined up perfect. And then you would have had the 5 ball to pot and get it back in its spot. And again, Chicu having a bang. Well, that visit was 40 from LS3, and the prime objective there was keeping them points, which she's done. Chiku's had a bang and made life a lot easier for LS3. Made no score. Well, that's what you always do. You know, you're just hoping you don't really pot the 5. You know you're going to bank it, and it's going to be in a fair line that you are going to pot it. But if you judge the weight right, you more than less won't pot it. But LS3 didn't play the force follow because she's not comfortable playing it, obviously. You know, we wouldn't think twice about it because it's something that you play so, you know, you shoot them so common in cowboy. And there's LS3's missed the thin edge. You see, again, there's a critical point in those lines where you're in between playing a force follow or playing a thin edge. I try and avoid the thin edges like the plague. And so you don't want to go too narrow where you're in that in-between twilight zone of playing a force follow, which you don't rely on when it's in a bit of a wider angle than you're comfortable with, and it's not something you play too regular, or opposed to actually going the thin edge and trying to rely on your bloody eyesight, which I don't. Well, what was you doing? What was you doing? But miasma. Well, you were joshing around with a guy. Now, when you say you were joshing around with a guy that you know, then clearly the guy, I mean, the only way miasma would get to hear about anything is if there was some sort of report about something. But unless he was in the room watching and didn't understand the situation, I don't know. You need to talk to him. Anyway. LS3 is on 90. And Chicu on 23, trying to follow on her tail. Well, he's in a strong position to do it. Now, that's what you don't want to do, is again, full in the face with the 3-ball, but the 3-balls come back into play a bit. He's on 82. High ball takes him to 87. Now, this cue ball is sort of probably going to be on for the draw between the 5 and the 1, or the 1 and the 5. That looks an odds-on certainty. So this is going to be 88. So now you've got to hope the 1 ball stays in play, because you need the single point. You can't pot the 5. You can't pot the 3. And now the 5 and 3 are set up for a carom. So you want to make sure you're drawing back over to the left, really, or coming across to the left like this, so that it opens up the carom. And now you've just got to make sure that you use the force follow again, really, because you don't want to cut this to make the edge, because you could accidentally pot the 5. And you're sending the 5 down towards the 1 in the process. You get the pace right, and that's pretty good. As long as it's not square. If it's sitting square, then it's awkward. If it's sitting like this, then you've got a shot. But it's going to be a stunt. Anything can happen. And
where's the cue ball going?
Well, it's not the cue ball that's a worry. It's the 1 ball. Sayonara.
Oh dear, outside, never mind.
Well, all that effort to get to 90, all down the pan with 1 bang. And that's because he didn't get the stun into it to get the hit. And then an object ball starts moving. It starts running, and there are 6 pockets in the table, and it found a pocket. So all that effort to get there comes to nothing. And that's the brutality of Cowboy. That's where it hurts. And the only thing to be positive about is that it wasn't a run of 80 odd that you've just lost. Well, Chicu comes to the table. LS3 still on 91. So this is the opposite to the last rack or the first rack where LS3 was chasing down Chicu. Now Chiku's got the job, the task of trying to get to the caroms. And as long as LS3 stuck there in 91 for the time being, there's every chance he can get there, as long as he doesn't lose his points this time. I had a rally chopper in the 70s. Chicu running the rails again. I think he's still got a pot in the 1. So even a straight pot in the 3, as a matter of fact, it goes past the 5. But you catch the knuckles at that pace, they don't go in. So contribution only 13. LS3 set up with a starter here. Again, you don't want to hit the 3 full in the face. Half ball either side will do, or in behind, which is what she tried. So now, LS3 still stuck on 91. I'm just a kid compared to Tam. LS3 still trying to get off this 91. Well, you know what I'm playing here, Tam. No questions asked. This looks good in the back of the 3. And that, if it keeps rolling, isn't bad at all because, well, the only danger here is the bank. That's the only danger with that 1 ball. That bank looks dead set if you were playing the force follow to the 3. But again, you can play the 2 railer. Got to narrow it down though to get there. Well, she's going wide and this might still work. Oh yeah, just grazed it. You've got to make sure you're overcutting the 1. And again, the 3 balls, there's quite a big target. And it's all about how much you take of the 1 ball because you're making sure you're overcutting it. Now things are running loose. Now there's a danger of losing your points. The safest shot is actually off the inside of that 5 up to the rail, long rail, and try and hit the 3. That's the safest shot because, you know, you're not really going near a pocket unless you hit it far too thick. Now, if you start doing this business, anything can happen. Well, prime objective again is always keep your caroms if you can. So she's got 3. That takes her to 94. Chiku's missed the pot. He's going to get second prize. and pot the 3 at the same time. So that's a roundabout way of getting back into the score. So that was an open table because, of course, there was a pot made as well as a carom, and that gives you open table next shot. And I would think that if Chicu can somehow get into the caroms on this visit, then it's game on, without a doubt. But that one ball's not sitting great. And I think he's lost his bearings there about what end of the table he was at, because he's done nothing with the cue ball and it's sitting ugly. And well, that was a bit of a fluke, but that takes him on to 90. He's played the carom from the 1 to the 5, potted the 5, got the 6 points he needs to get to 90, and suddenly it is game on, and the force follows there as well. Now, can Chicu pick LS3's pocket here? Well, that 3 ball, ideally, it would have been better going closer to the rail because there's an awful lot of room around it to try and go off that rail. Now, again, the other way of doing it is force follow. I mean, trust your eyes that you can go force follow to it. You can go edge to the 1, but if you get it too thick, that's not bad in terms of making the shot. But again, if you can avoid a double kiss, you could play a crossover. You could go thin edge and catch that 3 that way. And also, if you get it full enough, you can leave the 3-5 as a follow-up. He's trying to go cross table, which was the first option I thought about. But see, it doesn't finish good. But you've still got a second option here, off the rail onto the 1, or spin it from the 1 to the 3. And really, you want to hit a chunk of this. And he's hit it twice, but the 1 ball's coming into play. And now Chicu into the lead for the first time in Iraq. This has got to be done carefully. I mean, the carom isn't a problem. It's hitting it the wrong way and potting that 1 accidentally. I mean, if you just force follow and try and hit the 1 full in the face, you should be perfectly safe. Well, he's went inside, and that's clever. Because again, that type of shot there, inside and off the rail to hit the 1 and then hit the back of the 5 is perfectly safe. Because you're nowhere near a pocket doing that. And now the 1 ball is going to be let loose here. Danger. Well, he's playing it soft, ultra cautious. The run is 25. Takes him to 98. And the outshot into the side pocket. I'll tell a lie, still in 99, my bad. I thought he was on 100 there. Well, this could be, again, dangerous with that 1 ball if you're trying to make the carom to the 3. And I don't know whether the line's there to try and push that behind the 3. Well, it's went in front of it away, and he loads of left English to get around the corner. 1 ball thought about going off the table, but look at how it's set now. A completely unmissable outshot in the 1. And a nice little finish in rack number 2 for Chicu. So after an hour and 15 minutes, we are all square, and it could be a long night. I'm surprised that Chicu didn't go the VP Monster way there with a break shot, going the 3 rails off the left side of the 3 ball with right English around the angles to get to the 1 ball. And he's immediately let LS3 back in because of it. Well, I mean, that's not a problem. It won't go as long as that, I don't think, I hope. But, you know, I don't have work in the morning, but I do want to get up and watch the golf. I want to see the start of the golf. I should have a good stream for it as well. I had a good stream for the cricket during the week. There's a name I've never seen before as well. Seth Begg. Never seen that name before. Oh, by the way, that's what I forgot about. Last night on Shooter's Pool, Semi-Pro was playing in the semi-final of their 9-ball World Championship, which surprisingly, from what I can gather, I don't know what the finals to, but every round is a race to 7. So blink and you'll miss it. It's pretty much over. And Semi-Pro was playing in the semi-final last night. What the hell was the name of the guy? I think he had a triple barrel name, the guy. And when I was watching it, he was 4-2 down, Semi-Pro, and he eventually lost it in the final rack decider. So he got knocked out last night in the semi-finals. I can have your Sky account. I had Sky. And when my circumstances changed, I immediately got rid of it. That was the first thing that went out the door. I'm so glad I did. Because anything I've ever wanted to watch, I mean, for example, Saturday night, the big fight with Usyk and whatever the name of the other guy is, that I will be able to watch a good stream of it. Any football game I want to see, I can find a stream for it. And the golf, I can sit and watch it all day because I found a good streaming site which was good for the cricket, and I also realised that they've got a link on it for the golf as well. So spending a fortune. Yeah, so Semi-Pro's drowning his sorrows today. I mean, what the hell? Why the hell can you call it a championship when it's a race to 7? I mean, goodness me. It's more like a lottery. I mean, I'd fancy my chances in a race to 7 every round to win a world title at 9-ball. Even I would fancy my chances. My odds wouldn't be that good, but I'd still fancy my chances. Well, 3-ball goes in, but the carm's been made, so the 3's an extra bonus ball. Goes back in its spot. Now, again, just got to get the line left or right here with the cue ball if you're leaving the 5-3 or trying to leave a line from the 1 to the 5, and that'll do it. I have got, well, as of earlier today, I had absolutely nothing in the fridge, nothing to eat, because I know that we get paid, we get paid Friday this week, and that's when we get our discount. So I have been emptying the house of everything that was worth eating. and saving up try to hold off until Friday before I go and do a big shop, because that's me getting my big shop in for next week. So I eventually had to go out today and actually go and do a little bit of shopping just so I'd have something to eat. I've got barely any bread left, and I think I've got a couple of tins of soup, and that's about it. What's the cue ball? I've ate myself out of house and home. I've only had I had one Chinese this week, which was very nice. As a matter of fact, it was a char siu. What was it? I had char siu, ginger, and spring onion. Slices of ginger in it, very nice. I had that on. I think I had that on Monday night. I had a big fish supper last week, which was delicious, I might add. Very nice it was, cooked to perfection. 2 great big slabs of fish. I don't know what fish it is, but I mean, it's certainly not cod. Oh, that, and in fact, when I went to get the Chinese, I actually didn't, for once, I didn't actually phone. I said, I'm going to drive down. So I drove down and I went in and I ordered what I was to order. And I thought, I need to pick up a new menu because I'm sure the menu I've got at home's out of date. I'm sure the prices are wrong. No sooner had I picked up the menu and I was sitting down, waiting on my order coming through, and the woman that was beside me was talking to the lassie that takes the orders at the desk, and I heard the lassie at the desk saying, "Aye, this is all changing Friday," and so I said, so I better not take this menu then. She says, no, they're all changing on Friday. The prices are all going up. So back went the menu. Well, char siu is Chinese roast pork, isn't it? Basically, that's what that is. Right, so we're into rack number 3 in this race to 5. We have LS3 with a slender lead. And we have Chicu at the table on a run of 19 with a force follow to the 3 and not picked a line. Well, you know what I'm having for breakfast tomorrow? Because I've still got a little bit of bread left, all I've got is a couple of cans of beans. So I'm going to have toast and beans, and I've got some cheese left that will go over the beans once they're on the toast, and the plate goes back into the oven so that it melts the cheese over the beans. That's what I'm having for breakfast tomorrow morning. I'll tell you why, because I've got nothing else. So if I can hold off and survive until Friday morning, then I can go and get the big shop done. Welcome to Brainful Out. Do you ever buy the yellow labels? Oh, are you talking about the reduced crap? No, I don't buy any of that stuff. By the way, did you see in the news or I read it in the teletext, or what I call teletext, that Asda had been fined £400,000 or something? Did I read that right? Where they I think on 2 occasions in a store down south there was out of date products for like a fortnight. That sounds a bit. I mean, I'll tell you. Well, I explain to you why that's the case, because it's the same in our store. I mean, when you're working in .com and you're picking stock, you're picking stuff off the shelf. That's the prime thing you check. You check the dates, and it's not. I mean, there's not a day goes by where you don't go in and you pick up something that's out of date. But the only reason it's out of date is because we're picking early in the morning, and the staff that do the reductions aren't out at that time in the morning. They don't start till 8 o'clock. But I mean, it's rare that you'll find something that is actually maybe a ready meal that's a week out of date. It's very, very rare you'll ever find anything like that. But that Asda store, to have that happen to them, and well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Not probably Tesco's, but I think most supermarkets, big, large supermarkets, will have that problem. And I'll tell you the main reason why. Because there's not enough human beings working in the store. Every Tesco superstore is working in a skeleton staff. I mean, our store is the biggest store in Scotland. It's got over 300 staff in it. Not at one time. Everybody's doing different shifts. The problem is that the store has 300 staff and it needs 500 staff. That's the problem. That is the problem. And it's also the case that you're working with a number of arseholes who couldn't give a shit about the job. And that's the other reason. No matter where you go, but you do have wasters, as I call them, who, even though it's not the best job you're ever going to do in the world, but you try and do the job to the best of your ability. But there are too many people who don't give a shit. I've ranted about that often enough till I'm blue in the face. Anyway, but that would be one reason that Asda store's been caught out, because they're just working in a skeleton staff. There's not enough bodies to accomplish the jobs, and you've not got your job done. See, the other thing is, if you're one of these staff where you've been trained to do the tills, don't forget that. The good thing about me is I'm not trained to do checkouts. I never want to be trained to do checkouts. But if you are, .comers don't get called to go to checkouts. But if you're working in the shop floor and you're filling shelves, or you're doing anything like that, they'll call you off the shop floor as soon as anything when the checkouts get busy, because the priority then is the customers. So you'll hear the tannoy announcing, red light or green light or whatever the hell they call it. And if you're on the shop floor and you're doing something, you're called to the checkouts. The fact that I work in .com and I'm a picker, I ignore all of that stuff. None of us can get called off because we're prime priority. We're even more prime than customers at the checkouts, because when we start running behind and we've got people on holiday, like I'm on holiday this week, they'll drag somebody else from somewhere else in the store to cover and get the pick finished. But no, I never want to be changed to do checkouts, because I quite frankly wouldn't put up with the bullshit you get from customers. I would give it them straight back and lose my job. That's one reason that I should never be doing checkouts. I'm quite happy doing what I do. That's what I said when I had a one-to-one with my manager one time. She says, "Oh," and they ask you, "Oh, what do you want to do?" I says, "I want to do what I do my job, finish my shift, and go home. That's it. That's all I'm interested in." They want to know whether you want to have ambitions to go in and go further up the ladder. No, I'm 60-year-old. I just want a wage. That's all I'm interested in. Do you want? And then, of course, they wanted me to be a van driver. I said, "No, I'm not being a van driver." "Why not?" I says, because I ain't driving a van round about Glasgow, where I'm not familiar with. I'm familiar with certain locations in Glasgow, locations that I've always been to, but I would never be driving around Glasgow in all sorts of weathers. No way. That's a recipe for a disaster. So I very quickly put them in their place as far as that goes. Right, what's happening here? Well, LS3 is a mile in front. That's what's happening in rack number 3. And Chicu is back to square one, shoes in the other foot again. Chiku's having to chase. And LS3 just 3 points away from the carom phase. What you mean at the customer service desk? I mean, I've had to deal with. I was dealing with customer service stuff like that in Curry's many years ago. Folk come in with a broken toaster or whatever, you know, can't get their video. And this was back in the days where they'd take the video home. Oh, well, we couldn't get it tuned in. Could you help us out? And then you have to go and tune the video in for them and all that stuff. I've dealt with all of that. But like I say, if somebody comes in and starts mouthing off, they're going to get mouthed off right back at for me, because no, you don't get paid. You don't get paid enough money to stand and be talked to like a bloody piece of shit. I mean, I must admit that when I do my own shopping, I don't want to have a nice conversation, a nice friendly conversation with the checkout assistant. I want them to get the bloody thing scanned at a certain pace, leave me enough time to get the stuff in my bag, and let me get out of the bloody place. I don't want to have a 20-minute conversation. Oh, I've tried them before. They're lovely. Aye, they are. Well, that's why I'm fucking buying them, for Christ's sake. Shut your face and let me out. Excuse my French. You know, that type of thing. You know, you're trying to be palsy-walsy. No, I want you to do your job, shut your mouth, give me the goods, take the money, and let me get out of the bloody joint. I want to go home. Right. Well, Chicu a mile behind and not really threatening to do anything big in this rack. No, you're the member of staff. You're trying to be friendly. You know, every little helps and all of that stuff. But when I'm the customer, I want it my way. I want it done my way. And that's let me get my goods, let me pay you, and let me get out, and I want to go home. I don't want to stand an extra 10 minutes, and you know that there are eyes burning into your back from the customers standing in the queue thinking, shut the hell up and get out of the place, because they're getting annoyed as well. Their blood's beginning to boil. Everybody's the same when you get to checkout. You just want to get through them and get out and get home. I mean, that's also why our store has been reduced by more than half in terms of active checkouts. You've got a whole chunk of them now that are self-service checkouts, where you fill your own bags and then you take them there and then you put them through them. I've never used it. I just still am traditional that if there's somebody there who's sitting in a checkout, that's their job. So I'm not going to go to any do-it-yourself crap when there's somebody there getting paid to do their job. Aye, well, there's guys rack up the trolleys out in the piss and rain and all sorts of weather. I mean, there's nothing difficult about my job. Nothing whatsoever. You're your own boss. You have to make decisions on the spot. You know, if there's something not there, then you use your common sense judgment for what a good substitute would be. I've got a policy where it might say in the scanner that the customer doesn't want a substitute, but I totally ignore that. If there's something that I think is a decent sub for what they want, no matter what it is, I mean, not, you know, if it's like, it could be a ready meal and there isn't the one that they want, so I'll give them something close to it. I'll always give them a sub, because the only thing that they can do is they can refuse it. At least they're getting a sub. I've always done that. I mean, I've had new starts, and then they'll say, "Oh, and they'll come over and ask you a question. They'll say, aye, but the customer doesn't want a sub. I says, listen, when it says they don't want a sub, just ignore that. That's just, ignore the whole thing. For all you know, the customer might have forgot to say they want a sub. And if they, you've got to give the customer the benefit of the doubt. So I always give them a sub. They can only refuse it. It's not going to do any harm. You've got to do the right thing and give them the choice. And also the other advice is never listen to the scanner. Never do what the scanner tells you in terms of offering a sub. I mean, it might be that the customer wants a pack of 8 toilet rolls and there's no toilet rolls for that brand that they want, and it'll come up saying give them a roll of tinfoil. And somebody did that in the past. So you can imagine what a painful arse that customer had. I mean, that is true. But it is, I mean, when you're picking, it is a simple job. You read the scanner, you find the location of where you're going. That is mapped into your head if you've been doing it long enough. And then good common sense judgment when it comes to finding a substitute if required. Couldn't be any simpler than that. It's not a hard job. Although I must admit, if I was getting my shopping like that, I would tend to really want to know who's actually doing the picking, because there's certain people I'm working with, I would never like them to do my shopping for me, because they've got no sense of what's the right way to stack a basket. I'll tell you. Did I tell you the story about I think I might have. I think this guy now this is where I was talking about people getting dragged in from other areas in the store to help out in .com when we're really busy or short of staff. This guy had been dragged in from somewhere else in the store, and they had given him a scanner to go and do some picking, and he came in and he dropped off the trolley. And one of the guys who does the turnaround, that is, who takes the baskets out the trolley and stacks them, he shouted the other guy back. He said, "Come here." And the next thing you know, one of the girls who runs the runs.com, she's walking away with a crushed loaf and a squashed box of cereal. He had put a 12-pack of 500 milliliter water bottles on top of the bread and crushed the cereal box. I mean, how much of an idiot you need to be to stack a basket like that? That's just plain dumb. And this loaf was past. It was past survival. It just had to go to the waste. It was so badly crushed. And he's expecting that to get to a customer like that. What an idiot. I said to her, well, let's make sure we don't get that guy back in giving us a hand, because he's a complete numpty. He's got no clue. Right, well, LS3 is on the brink here of regaining the lead. Well on. 98, Chicu on 79. And what are we? An hour and 39 minutes. And Blind Hog still hitting forward slash. And he's at it again. He still thinks he's in the VP4 chat. Did I tell you the story? This was a story I get told about because I was actually on my 2 days off. I get told that this guy was walking around. I don't know whether he was a foreigner or somebody, or he didn't speak good English. I don't know, but I get told that I think he was running around. This is one of the .comers told me this when they were out picking. He was running around, and I think he was meaning he was looking for the toilet. But to cut a long story short, the girl that told me the story said she looked down the aisle and there he was standing taking a piss in the aisle. Well, when that pandemic started, right, there was no such thing in Tesco for the members of staff as protective equipment. Nothing. 6 months had gone by and we had nothing. No gloves, no masks, no face visors that some of them wore. We had nothing like that. So I survived all of that. I never got the injection because I've had every disease going, and I think I'm fairly resistant to most bugs and viruses that have gone about over the decades that I've had them. And also, the other valid reason is you don't know what the bloody outcome is of some of these so-called vaccines that they've magically brought out. You'd be amazing what governments get these people to do just to quiet the majority down, to quiet the population. I take this. Let's inject you with this thing. This is. Well, you really need to get this injection. When somebody tells me that, I think, aye, what's the deal with this? You've always got to question it. I thought I will just bide my time and take the risk. Well, that's going to go. So that's one attempt at getting out. No, but then again, that should help your immune system its own way. So Chicu has got himself into the carom phase, and there is a possibility of a steal here. But you've got to start taking risks like that, and that's what happens. Nudges the 5 in, and the 5's going to spot, and this is going to be a fairly. Well, let me have a look. Now, I think you can get the one ball well out the way of the double hit here and follow straight through into that pocket. Well out the way. And you don't need to hit this fast at all. You just need to let it take its own course. The one will get out of the way, but she's not picked a line. And that again, was a very fair, I would say a fairly easy out there. And when you miss an opportunity like that, you can be made to pay for it. Well, if Chicu now, he's in bad shape. He's got to move that one ball. He can't leave that sit there. He's got to do whatever it takes to move it. I mean, he's only got 1 point in the board. He could even just pot the cue ball. But doing that, I think, is a big sellout because this is out every day of the week. I mean, the one ball's just past the pot. Tell a lie, it's still Chicu at the table. My bad. I thought he'd missed the carom there. It's that time of night, so you'll forgive me. I'll need to have another drink. In fact, I could do with a coffee at this time. Well, this is definitely 2-1. Even I'm getting out here. Don't get into it too much. Yeah. So, an hour and 45 has gone by. LS3 with a 2-1 lead. And off we go into rack number 4. This is the sucker scratch territory we're talking about. It's a bit narrower though. I think as long as you don't hit this too hard, then you won't scratch. In fact, tell a lie, it was a pot. Or was it an open table? I don't know. I'm losing it. My brain's gone. What time is it? It's 10:15. That's another reason it's gone. And then LS3's apologising for probably a lucky roll of the ball. Never apologise, for God's sake. Never ever hear the word sorry out of me when playing a game. Because no sooner than you going to get that roll of the ball than it's all going to roll against you next time round. Again, a fairly good line here for the force follow, or again, you could go to the rail and come into the one from the side if you wanted. That 5 coming around nice to the 3. That allows you to pot the 1. An easy carom to follow. But again, when you play this carom, that's sort of that's still requiring the stun. You really want to be in a wider line so that you're just cutting across a ball and rolling onto the 5 or vice versa. That 3 ball's gone in, which is a bit of a bonus. However, it's now slightly awkward the way it's finished. Now, these are more difficult to read. Oh, tell a lie, it was a pot as well. Because the shot she played was a carom and the 3 ball went in at the same time. Well, that's not too bad because, again, it's a reasonable pot, the 5 ball. 5 ball will spot, and then you're above all 3 balls, so you'll have a choice of 2 different types of shot. More than likely, if she doesn't start juicing up this cue ball, you don't need to. Just need to make sure you pot the 5. Now, is that tight? Let's have a look. No, that's fine. That's perfect. Now, the 5 ball needs to either stay there or get out of the way because it's now a wee bit dodgy. Going to have to be a dodgy cut in the 3. But you get it. You know that you're lined up with a carom to follow. The 3's going to be isolated back on its spot. But at least you've got the knowledge that there's a cast iron certain follow-up shot. Now, if you can, much better to pot the 5 and carom the 1 if you've got the line to do it. That way you get that 5 on its spot. And that kiss in the 1 hasn't really done an awful lot of damage other than the fact that the angle is too much. So the much more open angle in the 3 is a lot easier shot than starting playing cuts in the 5 and running into the 3 when you don't really want to. And again, the golden rule there for all beginners is try and stay above or below, and she potted it gentle enough to stay above the 3, and you can play 3 to 5 or 5 to 1, whichever you're more comfortable with. It gives you that choice of 2 shots. It's when things start going like this that you've then got to come up with a solution to keep things in play. It's not just a case of, yes, I can roll the 1 ball in, but where am I going to put the cue ball? So going up above gives the the 2-railer into the back of the 5 to try and get the 5 ball in play. Oh, I'll remind you soon enough, don't you worry. Let's just say that, what's the day's date, as a matter of fact? I need to have a quick look. What is the day's date? This is the 16th of July. Well, I am a month and 2 days away from my birthday, August 18th. The other week, Hugh had a voice to text thingy. Oh, aye. Aye, that's in Windows 11. That subtitle thing. I just actually put it into my stream just to test it out. I was hoping it was actually a translator, but I've since discovered that whenever there's something like that involved, then there's somebody, and there's loads of people have got that facility and service available. Unfortunately, it's at a cost, so needless to say, that's why I ain't having it. I was hoping to have, you know, a live stream subtitle translation into Spanish or something like that for Jose. But once I found out that everybody does it, but you can have that feature if you want, but it will cost you money, I thought, well, sod that. Now I've got a little moth floating around in front of me that's annoying me. Is that you enough, Tam? You think it's all over, do you? Well, LS3's in a run here. She's got a potential chance of getting a high run here. You're not going to go before she's finished. Oh, so you're all going to abandon me then? Is that the plan? You got to see this out if she can get into the. Well, good night, Tam. That's jinxed that. The run ends in 70, but it's a good solid run. We won't keep you any longer, Tam. Take care. So Interchange X can breathe a sigh of relief. He keeps his high run for the time being. But Chicu is pretty much going home unless he can really get his act together. But I don't think I'll be honest with you. I've got the impression I don't think he really gives two hoots what happens. I think he'll just be glad it's all over. He was in it for the sake of being in it. But like a fish out of water coming to this game in this table. Well, I'll tell you, up until yesterday early evening, I was wanting 5 casters for my chair, but I had ordered them on Amazon the night before. I got a time for them arriving between 6:30 and 8:30 p.m. Sure enough, they turned up about 7:15 last night. My casters that I ordered on a chair that I bought at least 10 years ago, they turned up and they're absolutely identical to the ones that were on my chair. So I have got my new wheels. I can glide across the floor. That's what I would have wanted for my birthday. But I've already got that early birthday present. But I think the wheel broke just through wear and tear more than anything else. I mean, this chair gets sat on pretty much every bloody day of the week for long periods of time. And most of the time, it isn't necessarily playing a game or anything. I could have something on in YouTube, or I could just be lying sleeping in the chair. Well, Chicu This will be the Great Escape. The Great Escape and no mistake. Miles behind, 2-1 behind. LS3 in the brink of round 4. Well, I think it's round 4, isn't it? Did I say it was round 3? I think I said it was round 3. Let me just do a quick refresh, see if anything else has happened here. No, we've still got the match on Friday, and that is at 6 p.m. Between Cobra and Tam, and then Jose and Bankster on the Monday evening at 5 p.m. Now, the fact that those matches are at 5 p.m. are actually pretty good, because 5 and 6. It's when, with this being Cowboy, you know that if the match is going to go all the way, it's going to go on a while. But meanwhile, this match that we're watching, yes, it is. That's what I said earlier, didn't I? Round 3. What the hell is it? There we go. Yeah, it is round 3. No. Tam found that out this morning when he went into Cobra's room and played him in a game. Four days behind you, Hugh. What does that mean? What does 4 days behind me mean? I've just seen that in the chat. Did I miss something in the chat? Oh, your birthday? I am August 18th. August 18th, 1964. At the height of Beatlemania. In fact, I was old enough to see the end of Beatlemania as well. I was also old enough to see Gordon Banks saving that header from Pele in the 1970 World Cup in Mexico. And I also had a World Cup ball that my mum and dad bought for me out of Woolworths. You know, the one with the hexagons on it. And it had the names of the teams that were at the World Cup. I had one of them balls from 1970. I was 6 years old. I think Cobra's going for 3 in a row in this tournament, by the way. I could be wrong. Somebody will tell me otherwise. Meanwhile, LS3 has, the 3 balls locked up over a corner pocket, so that's out the game. Chicu's not going to score much by keeping it there, so there's really no point to it. And the sooner that he gets the 3 ball in the pocket and on its spot, the better his odds are at actually scoring. And he tried to cut the 5 onto it, but the priority there was getting the cue ball around to get that line to the 1, which he did do, but he can do it now. No, again, he's coming up the table. Again, I don't know why. I mean, why didn't he just stay above and get across? He's going to have to stun this big time or go very thin to try and get the back of that 5. It's not a good line. He's maybe doing the cut across again, cutting across the 5 and trying to spin it into the 3, and he's gone under it. Yeah, well, that all came about from not playing a good first shot in that 3 ball, potting it. Get into it far too much. Well, I think the first priority for anybody in this tournament is to be scoring. That's going to go down south. You've got to be making contributions. You know, if your contributions are just 10 and 12, and then it goes back to your opponent. That's no good. You have to be making 30s and 40s and bigger than that to put pressure on your opponent in this game and really have them chasing after you. Once you get that added pressure on your opponent, then, you know, they're either going to stand up to it and retaliate, or they're just going to blow themselves apart by going at stuff they shouldn't be going for and letting that ball go loose. But you would think, looking at this present situation, it's just a matter of time and patience for LS3. There's no desperate hurry here. Your opportunity's going to come just to get maybe 2 or 3 caroms, and then don't do anything silly. Just keep the caroms that you've got, keep the points you've got, and play safe. You know, there's a strong likelihood you're going to have another 3 or 4 goes to get out here. Because the only way Chicu's going to get right back into this is if he really gets to about 90 right now on this visit. Still a long way away, but that's the only sort of lifeline you think he has. I'll have another quick drink. I'm dehydrating here. Almost scratched there. Well, see, this is thin edge. Actually, I almost got it far too thin there. See, that was in between picking a force follow angle, which is not quite as easy at that angle, or the thin edge. It was a sort of in-between shot. This is a lot better. This is a lot more straightforward. You just don't want to put the 3 on top of the 1. 5 goes in, 3 comes into play. Again, a fairly comfortable pot into the side pocket, or a long 5 ball, whichever gives you the best line to the follow-up carom. That's really what you want. If you just roll this in, you can come off the top side of that 3 and get on to the 1 ball, get it back into play. Let's have a look at the line. Now, is he going to hammer this to start rolling? Oh, in fact, he's the wrong side of the 3. Didn't even see that until you get down onto the shot. Well, this will work. Now, you might end up above the 1, but with the 1 into one of these pockets to pot it. Well, he's come around and glanced it, and now he's in dodgy territory. Going to have to pull off a thin cut in the side on the 5, or a bank up and down on the 3 to stay at the table. And he's nailed that. Cue ball's coming down and down and down. Needs to get there. Hasn't quite got there. But again, the force follow to the 3 is dead simple. Because again, you're banking the 1. And now here's the prime situation you're in. The 3 ball's going off at spot, but you're on the 1 where you're going to be low. It's so obvious that you're going to be below for the 1-5. You just got to make sure you leave yourself enough angle to comfortably play the 1-5. Now, you see, that's too wide. That's too wide. You want to be in that first diamond. You want to be sort of there rather than there, just to make it more comfortable. This is where you have to start banging and stunning stuff, or running up to do multiple rails. You want to avoid that like the plague if you can help it. So now the recovery pot required. Now again, if you gently roll this in, you're going to have a long carom from the 5 to the 3. So he's played the bank, got the 1 in play, and sort of not really that bad for continuing this. Again, you can go direct to the 1 or go to the rail to the 1, which again was the safest shot. And the 5's got in again as a bonus. The run is 52. And he's within touching distance here because LS3 still only on 90. And I think Chicu, if he doesn't realise it by now, it's vital that he doesn't do anything daft and throw these away, because he's got a chance. And he's got to keep an eye on the scoreboard as well. That takes him to 85. He can cut the 5 on the side, just drop it in, and he should be good. I see he's running that cue ball loose. And I don't know whether he glanced at 3 ball there, but that would have been a disaster. And I don't think he was aware of the situation, because he's run the cue ball far too loose there, and he would have scored 6 points if he'd hit that 3, and he would have been over the 90, and 58 points would have went down the pan. So he was really, really fortunate there. And look at this. Look at the way this has ended up. Well, this is a test of how good your sensitivity control is with your mouse, because these balls are going to split immediately. And Chicu still short of that 90. He really should have got to 90 there, and he almost blew it and threw it away. And now LS3 trying to get as far away from him as she can with this visit. Why you say force follow? Because that's what it is. Because you're forcing the cue ball to follow the object ball. It's one of the most common shots you'll ever play in Cowboy. Well, this is thin edge, short rail, long rail onto the edge of that 5. That's too narrow. Far too thin. Well, here we go. LS3 with a run of 4 and kept the points. And it's last chance saloon here for Chicu, I think. Right, let's not get pedantic about how we describe these. It's a force follow shot. That's it. There isn't a follow shot, or that shot, or this shot. We just call them force follow. But you get the general idea of what we're talking about. Well, Chicu is 1 point behind here, and on a knife edge for survival. And hasn't got into the cue ball. Trying to draw that across to the 3, but didn't get into it. But again, vital that the points were kept. Well, this is danger all day long, this shot, because you're going the 2, 3 rails to get to the 1, and there's always the danger of the scrat. In fact, she's going narrow inside to get to the 5, probably a better idea. But no success. Now here's the force follow from the 5 to the 3, but at distance, in fact, he's going on a line that he's more comfortable with off the rail. And now we're all square. Race to the finish line in this rack. Now, again, you want to go to the back rail if you can, rather than hitting it direct, or at least catch it half ball, rather than pushing it dead to the rail. But it's pretty much dead to the rail where it is. It's not great. And there's going to be too much yardage in this cue ball that you really want to avoid. But if you're Chicu, you're not leaving a good table for LS3, and you've got yourself in the lead. I think that went all wrong. Got a thin edge and then ended up kicking the back of the one, so not really sure what LS3 was trying there. I think she was trying to obviously miss it, the first hit that she got. And Chicu, not enough in the cue ball again to get that hit in the 5. Now the 1 ball's in a dodgy spot. That's no good. It's no good to actually have to be playing off it because there's not a lot of room to manoeuvre with that 1 ball. But off the rail and avoid the in off. Still got it pushed into another dangerous spot. Well, here is the risky one. If you want to go the 3 rails or the 2 rails direct to that 1, the angle is there to do it off the 3. You can overcut it into the rail and try and go inside below the 1 ball if you can. In this sort of line, like there, to catch the 1 and keep it out the pocket and stop scratching. So that's a shot. It's risky all day long, but I'd be going for it. He's trying to go, or LS3's trying to go down inside to the 5. That's not bad. And that's a great shot. And my replay is working because I haven't tested it tonight, but that was a great little shot. Yeah, they're not really set very well for a gather. You know, the 1 ball's dangerously close to the pocket, 5 ball stuck in the short rail. But no sooner we said that than LS3's got the 3 down. But set it all up for Chicu. LS3 on 90, what is it, 96? Chicu 95. Got to play this right to stop one of these balls getting away. That's easier said than done, the way they're lying. Well, the angle's there to get maybe a quarter ball of that 5 ball right side to go to the 3. Well, he's going with an awful lot more power than I would have played that. That was very dangerous. But he's actually knocked the 1 ball free. Takes him to 98. This looks good. Very good. Well, again, well, he could run left side of the 5, overcut the 5, run up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rails to the 3 ball. That's one option. They can go 2 rails into the 1, but the 1 ball's very isolated, middle of the table. 1, 2, 3, 4. But didn't quite get the line, but the 5 railer was on. A risky shot, so Chicu took risks there and got away with them, and sometimes you have to. Keeps his 4 points that he made. And in with a strong chance here of going all the way. Oh, look at that. What a way to get a carom. Look at this. Gets it. Isn't sitting too pretty though, because the 5 ball's now sort of dead in the water, but he'll take what she can get. I think we played 2 or 3 different double games the other day, and they all went to the final point decider. They were all won or lost 101 to 100. It became a nasty habit. Well, this is, again, all or nothing here for LS3. Is she going to go the 2 rails? 1, and that's excellent. Not taking the bait of the 5 ball. But 1 good shot here, and it's got to be risky. But 1 good shot. Now, is she trying to draw to the 5, or is she playing to the 1? Because the 1's set, ready to go here. And that is it. LS3 is going to be the 3-1 winner. And she stole it with a final little run out of 5. No way she's missing this, surely. Very well done. Just when that threat was there from Chicu, LS3 pulled it off there with that little run out of 5 for, well, I wouldn't say comfortable win, but I mean, probably it looks more comfortable than it is. But anyway, it was more than good enough for a 3-1 win for LS3. So she survives, and Chicu moves over to that 1-loss side. LS3 now has a wait well into August, up until the 12th of August, and we still haven't had the round 3 match yet. And we don't know who's going to be playing, because Jose is playing Bankster on, when was that, Monday? And we have the match tomorrow. In fact, that's the one we want to look at. The big match tomorrow is the match with Cobra and Tornado Tam, and that is tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. British Summer Time. That'll be 1 p.m. Eastern, 9, 10, I don't know, 11, what is it, Pacific, 10 Pacific, I think it is. I hope you can join us for that. Jose and Bankster on Monday at 5 p.m. That's it, folks. Unexpected match tonight. Thanks for your company. Well done to LS3. Good luck. And plenty of time to get some practice in for that next match. So until then, and until tomorrow evening, I'll see you then. Thanks for joining, folks. And I'll bid you good night. Take care. See you later.
No bar, no pinball machines, no bowling alleys, just pool. Nothing else.